When you think about your partner's past, do you start asking them questions and feel that you cannot stop? And the more questions you ask, the more they talk about their past and their past relationships, the worse you feel. If so, listen up. This is Noemi Siri. I'm a relationship specialist and retroactive jealousy specialist. So even though we might feel that we are not in control and we are not able to solve this issue, uh, there is always there is always a choice. Now, how much choice you have will vary. You might have a lot of choice, in which case you only have retroactive jealousy at times, and the extent to which it interferes with your life might be quite limited. However, you might perceive that you have very little choice. It might be constantly there, or it might flare up and be there for days or weeks, and then maybe things get a little bit better and it comes back. But what I want to say is that regardless whether it is immensely impairing or whether it is just there enough for you to perceive it and to say that I want to do something about it, basically learn more about it. That's why you're probably watching this. So what I want to say is that there is a choice. Now, we have choice either because we perceive the choice or we have micro choices that we might not perceive, but it's there. And then basically it's a matter of training yourself to to notice these choices and then to actually make different choices. So let's say there's a thought or an emotion or something that uh, starts this cycle, the cycle of I'm going to have to learn more about them. Uh, so not just a mental cycle, but this time you're interacting with your partner, and uh, before you even ask the first question, there is a micro choice. Now, obviously, before we interact, there might be a lot of thoughts. So you can apply this micro choice to that as well, not necessarily just this interaction with somebody external. Yes, you can apply it to the internal dialogue that you might have with yourself about your partner's past and the narratives that you are creating about it. So before you even ask that first question, there is that micro moment that you can train yourself to observe and to augment. Because often when we don't actually react to a situation, but give ourselves the opportunity to think, to reflect, to basically perceive something differently, then changes start to occur, or changes. We give ourselves the opportunity to show up differently, to behave differently. So there is the somatic element, the body based element, or the embodied part of this, which is what is it that I am doing, and I'm purposefully using this question. So what am I doing in the body? Basically, even if you feel that you are not in control of it, you're still doing it. Now, you might be doing it because you have done it a million times before, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing it. Yeah, you might be doing it unconsciously. Yeah, you're not aware of it. You're just reacting to the situation because that is the natural way for you to respond to an impulse. Yeah, to an impulse, which can be a thought, a visual stimulus, something that you are perceiving, seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing. Yeah, so basically, what is it that you're doing? So if you focus on that, what happens? Are you leaning forward? Are you leaning backward? Are you feeling a little bit? Are you starting to move maybe? Are you feeling a little bit out of balance? What is it that happens at the body level in that micro moment before you approach your partner? Because if you start to look at this, two things happens. One is you make the unconscious conscious. You bring awareness to things that are naturally happening in a situation that is not serving you, in a situation that you aspire to change. And the second thing is that you are bringing in choice. You make it possible for yourself to change it. Uh, yes, so basically, if you're leaning forward, you could actually lean a bit backward and observe what happens then. Yeah? Do the same words come out? Does something else come out? Do you actually stop talking to stop yourself talking? What actually happens if you intervene through the body? And the third thing, having said that two things happen, the third thing is that you are starting to focus on something else. And that is also immensely important because what we focus on will have an impact on our behavior naturally. So if you want to change something, but you keep focusing on it, you keep giving your attention to it, then it's very difficult to change it unless you're reflecting on it. Just the way I was saying that you're reflecting on what is happening rather than automatically going through the same motions that you have done a million times. So yes, this is a micro moment that you can interfere with, and you can that makes a situation malleable if you are if you're looking at the body, if you're looking at what is happening in the body, what it is that you are unconsciously, automatically on autopilot doing in these situations. A second way of interrupting this automatic way of being is basically focusing on your thoughts. Now, that might actually be more difficult because you are probably already in your thoughts. Uh, you might actually have spent minutes, you might have spent hours, depending on the situation, thinking about this. So you are actually worked up. So it's difficult to interrupt something with the same thing, which is why, for instance, body-based thing is better to interrupt when a thought and a thought pattern, whereas thoughts with thoughts can be more difficult, not impossible, but can be more challenging. So basically asking yourself, what is this thought? And instead of letting that thought, uh, not letting, instead of believing that that's an absolute truth, yeah, and acting upon it, questioning that, is that actually, is that true? Is that really true? How can I know that that is true? How can I know and this is something that actually happens in retroactive jealousy. We want to know whether something is true by looking for the answer, by asking more questions, by kind of figuring it out. But that's kind of like digging yourself a grave, unfortunately. So it's not actually a good thing. So what I am proposing here is not to keep digging because it's already dead. What you want is a different way of doing things, is basically going internal, because the solutions to internal problems are not external most of the time. Yes, there are social issues. There are lots and lots of uh, things that we have to take into consideration when talking about mental well-being. However, in this situation, looking at this very narrowly, uh, we want to say, okay, so if I have a problem with my partner's past, it is my problem. So owning that and actually asking those questions and really digging deep and say, wait a minute, can is it true? And if it's not true, maybe where does it come from? What does it say about me? What does it say about my past? So basically asking questions about going back and asking questions about yourself potentially, not blaming yourself and not um, chastising yourself or anything like that. That's another extreme that is unhealthy. But really with curiosity, staying as objective as we can, because we are subjective beings. So and mental things are subjective. But kind of stepping a little bit aside and trying to see things from different perspectives. So yes, these are two simple ways, simple as ideas, difficult when needing to apply it in the situation in the moment. But these are in these micro moments before you do what you have done a million times, or thousands of times, or hundreds of times, or maybe 10 times. Yes, something that you have done repeatedly. Uh, Before that, that micro moment where you, before reacting, coming back and focusing, reflecting on the body, what is happening in the body, what you're doing unconsciously as a body, or what you're doing in your mental landscape. What are those thoughts? And instead of accepting them as the truth, asking yourself about um, uh, them, asking curious questions about them.